Annuities. So annuities is a topic by itself I could probably talk about for half an hour. Let's kind of break down some of the basics. There's two kinds of annuities. There's fixed annuities and then there's variable annuities. Your question is probably about variable annuities, but I'll address fixed first. With a fixed annuity, it just operates sort of like a CD that you'd buy through the bank. The difference is the issuer is an insurance company over a bank, and they're not FDIC insured. They're insured by the insurance company. They're just a fixed rate product, if you will. And at some point in time, you have the option, you can turn it into a stream of payments. They're pretty low risk, they're pretty standard, pretty straightforward. So there's not a lot of controversy about them. The big concern about annuities are in the variable as well as the index line. And with those, I would say that they're not for everybody and they're not for nobody. So in the sense that they get a bad rap because I think they're oversold in some cases. Some people in my profession think they're a one size fits all and that everybody should get one. I don't know about that. There certainly is a fit, and when they work well, they work really well. If you're of retirement age or looking for guarantees, that's something we should be looking at annuity for. I think the big thing with an annuity of any kind, either index, variable, or fixed, just make sure you understand what you're getting into. There's things like a surrender period. This means the amount of time that you're going to have to hold that annuity before you can maybe take withdrawals above and beyond 10% of that annuity. Understand exactly what it does. In this day and age, we're seeing, because of the baby boomer generation, we're seeing a lot of insurance companies offer variable annuities that offer lifetime benefits. These are guaranteed income programs that basically are designed for the baby boomers to maximize their money. There's a lot of misconceptions, and a lot of people, I think, in my industry don't do a good job of explaining them properly. They set a kind of a false expectation that they offer guaranteed growth, and I have yet to see one that does that. Typically, there's guaranteed income, but the trade-off is higher than average fees. So as long as you understand what you're getting into, it may not be a bad thing. Just ask a lot of questions. Make sure you ask what's the worst thing that can happen. If you're doing that, I think you're going to do a good job. But I wouldn't run for the hills when you hear the word variable annuity. That's pretty much how I would answer that. The most common misunderstanding, or misconception, I can't tell you which one the most common is, but I can tell you a few. The first I get is that your people are either people are too young, or that they're too early to start doing it, and some people think it's too late. I would say that's just not the case. Nobody ever comes to my office and says, you know what, I wish I waited about 5 years before I started investing. So it's never, in my opinion, it's really never too early. It's essentially just putting down a roadmap and understanding where you want to be. Again, that's a prudent thing to do. It's never too early to do that. As far as it being too late, I think even if you're 75 years old and you're in retirement, there's still maybe some things that a financial planner can add value to your situation. So it's kind of hard to answer that one too, to say that it's too late. Some people think, well, I don't really have any money, so maybe I shouldn't do this. Again, I think that there's resources online. You can, if you're concerned about paying somebody for their advice, there's plenty of resources online, some good, some bad, of course, that you can develop your own financial plan, and I think you're going to be a lot further ahead than if you just do absolutely nothing. Some people think that doing it yourself is always better. I disagree there too. I mean, there's tons of things that a good professional in my business should be able to identify and add value to their situation, more so than just doing it yourself from an online resource. I've met plenty of clients that they come in the door with these, they just want the free consultation and they want to see if I can really do anything. And typically within a 35-minute conversation, I've opened up their eyes to something, whether it be a Roth conversion, whether it be different ideas on how they can maximize their pension benefits, whether it be uncovering something they invested in that they aren't using properly. I think doing it yourself is sometimes good because you're saving money, but again, a good professional should be able to add value for whatever you're paying them. That's always hard to do, but I would say the best thing that anybody can do, or the tip would be to do something. I think that many people just kind of procrastinate, and they say they'll do something later down the road, And again, like I said previously, nobody ever comes to my office and says, I started right on time, and nobody ever says, I wish I waited 5 years. The best tip I would say to anybody that's curious about financial planning is do something. Save. And if you're already saving, I'd suggest, obviously, saving more if you possibly can. Nobody ever says to me they wish they saved less. Most people say they wish they saved more to have more money down the road and more options in their retirement. By doing something, again, something's better than nothing. So oftentimes when talking at social gatherings or what have you, people will say, well, I'm waiting until that raise comes in. I'm waiting till inheritance comes in. And unfortunately, sometimes when raises come in, you just have to buy something else with that, or you have to spend more money or keep up with the lifestyle. And I think for a lot of people, myself included, saving is an expense. And I think people should be saving a little bit until, I don't want to say save till it hurts, but if it means that you have to cut back on something, that's, again, in your best interest to kind of create that expense for yourself. So yeah, do something. Don't just do nothing. Well, I don't really know specifically about that, but if I had to guess, I would say probably one of two things. The first thing is access to information. In the 90s, the internet was still, for most people, was still kind of just rolling out. Email addresses were still kind of a new thing. Now people have multiple email addresses and they don't want to check their email box, versus I remember, 90s, 97, 96, when I got my first email account, I was excited to get an email. Now I delete more than I read. But the information is out there now. There's websites like Google Finance, Yahoo Finance, Morningstar, FI360, The Motley Fool. There's plenty of sites out there where people can get the same information. They previously needed to rely upon some sort of club. The information is there, and I think it's a good thing, because you're able to double check what you're investing in. If you're working with a professional, most information is public, so you can just type in Google and compare your investments pretty simply. The other thing I think that's been a big shift in the investment world and the financial professional is more people now, I'd say, want advice. Previously, people said, here's my money, here's the money I've saved, what should I be investing in? But now the conversation that happens in most people's mind is, okay, so I'm saving money, but what are my goals? So instead of coming to a professional and saying, here's my money, invest it, people are saying, here's my money, here are my goals, how do we get from point A to point B most effectively? So by those virtues, I would say that most investment clubs probably aren't really personalized enough to do that, so that's probably another reason. But again, that's just completely an educated guess.